streaming. Let's see if that's it. Okay, yeah, I think I got it perfect. I think I got it working that time. I think. All right. There's no go live button. Share. Boy, they have changed this quite a bit.
Oh, I see it flash by
Oh,
on my
crap. All
screen.
right, well, I guess we're just going to have to go then. And
now it's time.
what's going on, football fans? We're back again. As you can see, we're having a few little hiccups. I guess not doing a live stream for a couple of months will mess up our flow. But we're back. We're doing this remote, as you can see. I'm in my humble abode. Toby's in his humble abode. But we are getting some stuff straightened out. So we just wanted to come back to y'all live once again with a live rendition of Pound for Pound. And,
Yes, sir.
right, and we're just excited to be back and be back doing it live, and as always, we'll get better as we go. So, Toby, if you want to go ahead and kick us off in what might be, today's topic. We got a lot of stuff to talk about today, a lot of stuff to get into, so let's just jump into it, man.
Hey, man. Well, the first 2 days we had the players out doing strengthening and conditioning, the beat reporters, and was there and talking to the team after the strengthening and conditioning was over, man. And we got some nice little interesting tidbits from a lot of the players, man, between yesterday and today. I mainly want to jump into how you feel about Todd Gurley's first interview as an Atlanta Falcon.
He came with a little bit of humor. I gotta like that. I enjoyed that. He was getting on them reporters about not wishing him a happy birthday. So that was kind of funny. I enjoyed that quite a bit. I enjoyed the fact that the levity that he had, I guess, with the reporters was something that I
Yeah.
enjoyed. It's not something I'm used to seeing from Falcons players, to be completely honest with you. We have a lot of tight-lipped guys, I guess you could say. So it was nice to have him bring a breath of fresh air.
There's definitely some different characters in there this year. Todd Gurley being one of them.
Mm-hmm.
He seems to be excited about the offense, especially excited about. We're hearing a lot of great rave reviews about how the Falcons have prepared everything with the
Yes.
COVID-19 situation going down. A lot of players seem to be giving a lot of rave reviews about the safety and the health that's being heavily promoted.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you heard a few players mention today about the mask, getting used to wearing that while you're practicing or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's going to be an interesting adjustment. I mean, just like it is like when you're going to the store nowadays, or when when you're going to work or whatnot. There are some things that you have to get used to, and wearing that mask
Yeah.
is one of them. I know it can be a sore spot for some, but I mean, you do what you got to do, right?
Well, here's what I want to know. Why every year Grady Jarrett has an interview, the first question they got to ask him is about his work ethics. We already know the man works like crazy. We don't need to know that again
No,
every year.
look, I mean, between workout videos that it gets posted, and the comments that he makes, man, he's probably got to be one of the hardest working people consistently on the defense. I don't need them asking him questions about, does he have a chip on his shoulder, is the contract gonna make him play any different. You know what this man is. He's probably one of the hardest workers on this team. So I agree completely, as far as that's just a crazy question to be asking.
And I tell you what, man, we got ourselves a taste of Dante Fowler today
Yes.
doing his presser. And he said some interesting things, which I wasn't too surprised about. Were you?
Honestly, I didn't get a chance to watch Dante's presser. I was hoping to get to it before. but trying to get all this stuff set up here, I didn't necessarily get a chance to watch it. So, what were some of the things that caught your eye from what he was saying?
Well, some of the things that you and I probably are not really surprised about, because they did it with Big Beasley, allowing him to stand up and rush,
Yes, yes,
you know, and allowing him to have his hands in the dirt, well, which we pretty much thought that those would be some of the things they would allow him to do anyway. And plus moving him around as a piece. I saw you
yes.
tweeted that out today too about them moving him around and allowing him that freedom within the defense to be able to do those
Yeah,
things.
that was.
Um,
I caught that quote on Twitter. I did, like I said, I didn't get a chance to watch the
yeah,
interview, and I didn't realize that quote had come from the interview. So I probably look a little silly right now. But I did tweet out that I'm glad to see that they realize that a guy like Dante Fowler, just like Vic Beasley in the sense, is not. He should not be put in just one spot. You
right,
need to move him around. You need to capitalize on one-on-one type situations for Dante Fowler for him to be successful. I mean, that's how he was successful in, LA. He rushed from a lot of different places. Now he primarily rushed standing up, so
right.
in Los Angeles, but I think the idea of being able to have him move around is going to be an interesting concept for sure. One that Atlanta Falcons fans should be used to, or should have gotten more used to. Let me put it that way. They didn't move Vic Beasley around enough, in my opinion. They started
Right.
to last year, and you saw what happened. He started to get some sacks. So I'll be interested to see if that translates to a lot more success for Dante Fowler.
Well, I'll tell you what I am excited about with Dante Fowler is that he's got a much bigger frame
Yes.
in a Big Beasley.
Hmm.
I think he's going to be able to really handle wherever they put him at, whether it's the right or left, to be able to rush from the stunts that they're going to be able to do with him on the line. Speaking of line, man, have you seen how many offensive linemen
Oh,
and D
dude,
line
man.
are opting out? Wow.
These big guys and a lot of, like, I think I saw something like grand total of 50 players have opted out so far, and I think the vast majority of them are either offensive linemen or defensive linemen. And I wonder if it's because they're constantly banging every play.
Right.
A wide receiver may not get tackled every play because if the ball don't come to him, he may not have to tangle with a cornerback per se or a DB, or the running back isn't getting the ball every single play. But the offensive lineman and defensive lineman, they are butting heads every single solitary play. So I wonder how much that's having to do with, um, how much that's having to do with their decision to opt out on the rate that they seem to be opting out.
Well, I tell you what, man, praise God. So far, no Falcons players are choosing to do
Not
that.
yet.
They seem to be very hungry.
Very.
They want to play, man. They put in a lot of work. You heard Calvin really mentioned today, man. We put in a lot of work, man. We want to
That's
play some
right. That's right.
football.
And I think, okay, I was talking to a gentleman at one of our suppliers today. He was asking me about, if I thought we were going to have a season and all this jazz, and how I thought it was going to go because he brought up the Marlins deal and he brought up the Cardinals deal. Then he compared it to the NBA, And I told him, I said, it's going to come down to the players, like full on. It's going to come down to the players who do what they're supposed to do, right? As far as follow the guidelines. And I was glad to see that the NFL put out a thing that a worker may be subject to the same kind of fines as the players if they're not following,
Hmm.
So that's good to see that they're holding everybody accountable. Which that's the
Everybody.
only way this is going to work. That's the only way it's going to work is to hold everybody accountable, to make sure that everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing so that we can have this NFL season.
Yeah. Now, I think it was, I want to say it was Joey Bosa. They asked him a question regarding the COVID-19, and he mentioned, he said a very interesting, comment that the team that's most responsible is the team that's going to
That's
win.
right. That's right.
And I'm wholeheartedly in agreement with that because it's going to be a challenge this year to see if you're going to be able to motivate those grown players not to be hitting up Magic City and
That's
stuff
yep.
when they're here in
That's
Atlanta.
it.
like one Mr. Lou Williams, but we ain't gonna go there because it ain't about the basketball. As my man old Mike Doug would say about that. But hopefully they can get these guys, man, motivated enough to understand the severity of this. If you want to play the game, you got to be responsible this year.
That's it.
For your teammates and not just yourself.
That's exactly right. Well, let's take a second and go ahead and jump into some chat. We got a few people throwing up some messages.
Let's do it.
First and foremost, we appreciate y'all joining us after such a long hiatus as far as the live streams go. We thank y'all for jumping back in with us. Jaden Saffler says, "Hi guys, what's up, Jaden? How are you doing, sir?" Or yes, sir.
What's up?
Brandon Levy, what's up, P for P? What's up, Brandon? We got a lot of guys saying hello. We got Justin Jennings saying good evening, fellas. Bug saying that she's glad that we're back live. Our good buddy Anthony Wright joined us. He says what's happening, and then he says, well, 2 days into training camp, I have seen 5 different player interviews in the camp, talking about Gurley and Ridley and Jarrett, Dante Fowler, and AJ Terrell. Or Terrell. That's good to see. Ray Family says, what's up? And then our guy, Jimmy from Down Yonder Sports, our latest addition to the family over here at Pound for Pound. He's in the chat room with us. So if y'all got any questions for Jimmy, y'all can hit him up. He's in join us in the chat room there. Let's see what else we got. And Twan McGee says, what's up, Toby and JR? I just joined. Rise up, fellas. Well, thank you for joining, Twan. We appreciate it. We appreciate y'all joining. We appreciate you. And it's something we're going to try to get back into doing now that camp is going. We're getting some more active news. I have figured out my technical issues about trying to set up this live stream. It's taken me a summer, but I think I finally got it figured out. So we're going to try to get back to doing this once a week. We'll see how this goes and see how y'all respond, but that's our plan. But anyway, so our topic that you brought up, it was something that you come at me with over the week, and you brought up a point that we're facing 8 1,000-yard rushers this year. 8 1,000-yard rushers. I think you said something about 2 of them on one team. So
Seattle Seahawks week 1, man.
So
Seattle Seahawks.
Y'all have heard of the Great Wall of China. We're going to need the Great Wall of Atlanta as far as trying to stop this running assault that we're going to have to face this year. And it's going to be an interesting task. I mean, you have, obviously Grady Jarrett leading the way with his, talent and his run-stopping accoutrements. But you also have, as far as the other big run-stoppers go, you have Tyler Davidson and you have Alan Bailey. So those are the 3 DTs that we really know as far as this team is concerned. Now, you drafted Marlon Davidson, and you drafted him to be a force in the middle with Grady Jarrett. So I'm going to be interested to see how he does against professional running backs and how quickly he can get up to speed. Because like I said, as you gratefully pointed out, we're going to need it because, man, we got a lot of horses that we're going to have to try to corral. So what do you think that we're going to have to do to slow down this Russian attack that's coming at us?
Well, I do want to say this first off, man. I hope that Tyler Davidson, is doing well, him and his family. He did get put on that COVID-19 reserve list. Unfortunately, him and Foye Oluokun, just to name a few of the players out of the 6 that are on there. Of course, they don't have to, by NFL rule, tell us exactly what the severity of the situation is. It could be getting exposure to someone else that has had it, or whatever the case may be, because we know they have them bracelets on right now, as well to track that. But I feel good about what our middle presents. What I'm most concerned about this year is our edge setters. Now, Dante Fowler seemed to be very excited when he was asked about the opportunity because of stopping the run. That was the first thing he mentioned out of his mouth before he even got the rushing passer, because he understands the seriousness of what you're going to have to do to slow some of these guys down. And when you got at least 8 1,000 rushers yard rushers that you're going to have to face, starting off with two, Carlos Hyde and Chris Carson, who has struggled a little bit with injuries with Seattle week 1. And Brian Schottenheimer loves to use his two running
Oh yeah,
backs a lot.
yeah.
So,
They are definitely no stranger to a run game. They realize there that up in Seattle that's one of the things that complements Russell Wilson the best. They figure if they're not going to give him a respectable offensive line, then they might as well give him some running backs to soak up some of that punishment. So it's an interesting, it's going to be an interesting test right out the gate. And you're right.
yeah,
I'm not too worried about the middle of our defensive line. It is the edge rushers that I am concerned about. It is being able to set the edge and turn those guys back inside that has me
right,
concerned.
right.
Now, if he can stay healthy and if he comes back fully healthy, I'm not too worried about Tack McKinley. He seems to do real
Right.
good against the run. He seems to have a pretty good nose for stopping the run. But it's it's the Dante Fowlers, it's the Charles Harrises, it's those guys. Are you going to have to roll out a package that is a big front,
Mm-hmm.
obviously signifying to the offense that we think you're going to run? You know what I'm saying? That's what you don't want to
Yeah.
get into. That's what you don't want to have. You don't want to have, a front four of Allen Bailey and Marlon Davidson with Grady Jarrett and Tyler Davidson. You know what I'm saying? That's
Right.
too big of a front.
Right.
That right there tips your hand to what you think the offense is going to do, and then they can tear you up by just going over you or whatever. So I'll be really interested to see how these edge guys respond.
Well, I tell you what, a guy that um Jimmy and Mike mentioned him by Deidre Sonata. I think this is a year where if he survives on the team, that you could see him with all these runners that we have to face. And you already know that teams are going to want to run the ball because they don't want the Atlanta Falcons' potent offense to be on the
Right.
field long and killing, scoring more points. So you know that's going to be the game plan, unless you get some stupid teams that, of course, are going to feel like they can go toe to toe
Right.
with the Atlanta Falcons offense. Of course, we hope they become the offense that we believe they will be. Dirt Cutter, you
Uh,
need to get your act together, sir,
uh,
because you got an offense that can do some
that's right.
damage if you allow them to and do what they need to do. But like you said, Dirk Cutter is as good as the talent that he
That's right.
has, and the Falcons have definitely put
Oh
talent
yeah.
in his
Yeah,
hands to work
there
with.
is no doubt this year that he's got the talent. I mean, with just the first rounders alone, and, as we stated early in the summer in our individual videos, they're collecting first rounders like people collect baseball cards. You know, they picked up another one with Quez Denard. This past week they
Yeah.
finally made that official, which I was glad to see that they went out and signed another veteran corner, because there's going to be times where AJ is going to be swimming, you know what I'm saying, in over his head,
Hmm.
and he may need to come out, and we don't need that play to drop off if he has to, if he slips a little bit. So I was glad to see that they finally made that official this week, and I am, thoroughly interested in what, like, is in what these, oh man, what this defensive makeup is going to look like. You got,
Right.
you got
Right.
um, Raheem Morris fully at the head now. Like, there is no,
Hmm.
splitting of duties. Yes, I know Jeff Ulbrich is still there, but Raheem Morris is the man in charge. So I'm really curious to see how he's going to deploy his talent. Now, he has a major background in the Tampa 2, which a lot of people may not realize it, but the cover 3 and the Tampa 2 are very similar. So it's not like it
Yeah.
should be too much of a verbiage, but I'll be interested to see how he deploys his players. All right, well, let's get back.
Well, he's
Go ahead.
yeah. Go ahead. Go
Well, I
ahead.
was going to jump into the comments real quick, as we
Yeah.
like to
Jump
do.
on in there, man.
Uh, B Passion TV says, "Do you think we should bring back Freeman as a 1A back? Think about it with Freeman and Coleman. I think that any other guys are proven, but Freeman's pass blocking and catching is great. I I don't think this team's going to bring back Freeman. They cut him for a reason. They felt like that they were going to get an upgrade with somebody like a Todd Gurley, and I think they feel very comfortable with Brian Hill as your number 2 back. So I don't see them bringing Freeman back in. What about you? What do you think on that?
No, I think the Atlanta Falcons want to go much bigger at running back. You got Todd Gurley, 6'2", 224. And I think you got my man Brian Hill also is about 6 feet, 200 plus pounds. And the only guy really that you have right now that's smaller is Ito Smith, which I heard he added on 5 to 10 pounds of muscle.
Yeah, so we're gonna see how that transpires. So no, I don't see. I think they're happy with the running back stable that they have right at this moment. Anthony Wright says, we will have to move Alan Bailey inside to D-tackle to be in that rotation with Grady, Tyler Davis, and Deidre Sanat. Yes, and he also Anthony Wright also brought up a guy I forgot was John Kaminsky. So
yeah, I was going to talk about John Kaminsky.
He slipped my mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think I think we got the pieces to handle it. I really do. I think that we're going to have a real good chance, and I think it's as long as they scheme it right. I mean, that was the biggest difference from the first 8 games to the second 8 games, was they changed up they started giving the offenses different things to look at. For whatever reason, the first 8 games last year, Dan Quinn was being very stubborn with his formations, and he felt like if he made it super simple, the guys would excel. Well, when you make it super simple, you also make it really easy for the offense to pick apart. And that's what happened. So I'm really hoping to see some creativity from Raheem Morris. Matty Go says, y'all back together. He called us salt and pepper. I guess you're salt, right? He was talking about your beard.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, I got the black shirt on. I'm pepper, right? Anyway.
Yeah.
Let's see. And then he also followed it up exactly. No more long developing routes, please. I think he was talking about when you were mentioning Dirk Cutter. Let's see. Jaden says the thoughts on the Denard signing. We just kind of covered that a little bit there. So, and I think that I think it's good. I like having. I'm not a huge fan of rolling in with a certain amount of rookies, especially with the Isaiah Oliver seeming to be on as shaky ground as he is on. Because I think it was Vaughn McClure or D. Orlando. I cannot remember now. But one of them talking about, was it McClure? Already talking about Denard being in the slot with Kendall and AJ on the outside is what he was hearing. So that doesn't bode well for Isaiah Oliver. And let's talk about that for a second. If that doesn't bode well for Isaiah Oliver, you're talking about 2 second-round cornerbacks in the Dan Quinn era that have been busts now, or that the team has given up on. Now, Jalen Collins, you can say that the team gave up on him. He kind of did it to himself. But as of right now, Isaiah Oliver is not coming in with the second-grade pedigree that he showed, at least in college. It has not translated very well.
Well, listen, I mentioned this on Twitter. And, thank everybody who gave me great responses on Twitter. I named a lot of the guys that Joe Witt. This is a Joe Witt secondary. This is the guys that he wants. He loves his route jumping guys, aggressive in the run support, physical at taking the ball away with causing fumbles and stuff like that. And right now, Isaiah Oliver just does not fit the bill of that type of guy.
Not right now.
And until I see that, then I can't otherwise be convinced that he's going to make it. Now, I think he will get some playing time for the Atlanta Falcons, but how much he gets is going to depend on if he worked on the things that Joe Witt didn't want him to work on, which is footwork, mainly, that he's going to have to rely on as far as his technique goes, instead of trying to grab people in them fly routes, because he still gets killed on fly routes 2 years in a row, guys. You watch the last video I did on that. He gets hurt in them fly routes. It's killing him. So he has to improve in that area, because in our division, we love to chuck the ball down the field.
Yeah.
New Orleans Saints and, of course, the Buccaneers, and now you got the Carolina Panthers. Don't go to sleep on those guys just because they got new coaching over there now.
It may take them.
It's going to be interesting.
Right. It may take them a little bit to get going, but yeah, no, you're right. Don't count them out. I'll be really interested to see what Teddy Bridgewater looks like when given the keys again. You know what I'm saying? I did see an interesting stat. You talking about like airing the ball out. I don't know if you're gonna have to worry too much about the Saints airing the ball out. It's been 2017 since Drew Brees thrown over 34 yards in the air. I think that's what I read. I was like, no, that can't be right. I was like, apparently it is. That seems to be that's why old Michael Thomas has been the king of the dump offs. But that's something for another time. Let's see. Down Yonder is laughing at us. Thank you, Jimmy, for laughing at us. I appreciate you doing that. He says Joe Witt Jr. is huge on footwork and hand placement. If Oliver hasn't worked on that man, then yeah, he's gonna have a tough time. Yeah. I mean, but he did put out that footwork video at the beginning of the off season, right? You saw that floating around on Instagram and Twitter. Yeah. So maybe he is taking it serious. Maybe he is doing some good footwork. Well, we hope he is. But so anything else? Now, man, did you see the video of old Todd Gurley catching routes coming out of the backfield, looking like a clone of Calvin Ridley?
Man,
he looked good, right?
Not just that. I mean, the way he running routes, period, man. You know, when we get in them 5-wide sets, man, somebody's gonna get open.
It's gonna be,
Man, I tell you, I'm glad he's on the team, man, because Julio and him, you can tell it's gonna be more than just on game day. Them boys are already gonna be competitive with each other, because you saw Julio had to do a one-hand catch after Todd Gurley ran that nice route.
With his bucket hat on.
I got something
right, yeah. So no, that was
boy.
That was good. You know what? I tell you this, I ain't gonna lie to anybody. I'm glad to start seeing these videos coming out of the guys on the field. If nothing else, it gives me a little bit of time to just like put the worries of everything behind and just enjoy some quality football. Now, granted, I did see pop up on my Facebook today that this was like around this time we should be at camp right now, like watching camp. So that hurt my feelings a little bit that I can't be at camp this year, but that's okay, because we'll hopefully this will translate into maybe more focused. I don't know, but we'll see how all it transpires. Let's see here. Tawan McGee says the article of people trying to put Sheffield. Oh, so he's talking about like an article of people trying to put Sheffield at free safety. I haven't seen any articles about. I must have missed that one. I don't need Sheffield at free safety. I like Ricardo Allen at free safety if we weren't going to draft a first round talent free safety like I thought we could have. I like having Ricardo Allen there. I like his smarts. I think you're going to see, that's something we have talked about before, I think with him and KZ and how good was it to see Keanu Neal back on the field? That was
he looked good out there.
Yeah, that was super good to see him back on the field. So I think part of what you're going to see and part of what they're going to deploy, I think they finally have the firepower to deploy that big nickel that they've been trying to do for the past 2 seasons. So that's going to be real interesting to see how that is deployed. Hopefully with some success, because I want to see Keanu Neal and Ricardo Allen and DeMonte Casey. I think they all deserve to be out on the field at the same time.
Well, I don't know if you noticed it or not, but the last few videos they've been working on Keanu Neal's hands. Joe Witt wants his safeties to not just, bat balls down,
he wants them
causing fumbles. He wants you to intercept that ball. And that's something that Keanu Neal is definitely going to have to continue working hard on this year to be able to become that all-around safety that, Joe Witt is going to want out there. Because if you look at the safeties he's had, I keep going over this. If you ever want to see a great example of what Joe Witt Jr. would like to have in his secondary, go back to that Chargers game in 2011, I think week 9, and take a look at that. Now, they had 3 interceptions in that game, and I think 2 of them were returned for touchdowns against Phillip Rivers. And you'll see the zone concepts and how they want their cornerbacks to be able to play in them zone concepts and jumping other people's routes, man. I mean, you might not necessarily be on your guy as far as the wide receiver. You may jump a tight end and take that thing to the house. Tremont Williams did that in that same game I'm telling y'all about against the San Diego Chargers at that time.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If you go back and look at the height of Dan Quinn's coaching career, so to speak, in Seattle, what did that team do well? That team took the ball away.
Yes.
That team,
Yes.
and to me, that was one of the biggest differences. And I did it in a video over the summer, but that was one of the biggest differences from the first 8 games to the second 8 games. Is our turnover margin, our turnover ratio went up like quite a bit.
Yes.
I think we only had like
Shout out
2 or 3 turnovers in the first part of the season, and then we had like something like 8 or 9 in the second half of the season. We more than been tripled what our output was from the first half. And anytime that you can steal the possession away, that's what's going to be, the deciding factor in more games than not. If you can shorten the field, right? That's what made 2016 so impressive. Is how many times did we get the ball at R1 and had to drive the whole damn field, right? So, but that's not something you want to count on. If we can shorten the field more times than not, then you're setting your team up for success. And I think that's what they're doing. And the more I learn about this Joe Witt Jr., the more I'm so glad that we got him, that we got him away from Cleveland or what have you, that they were crazy enough to let him go. And I wonder if it was if that was a Raheem Morris hire or a Dan Quinn hire. Either way, I'm glad they did it, and I want to give him a high five for it.
Yeah.
Because he has me excited,
Now,
especially with his work with Morgan Burnett. Because I mean, doesn't Keanu Neal kind of remind you of Morgan Burnett?
Yes, sir. But that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that hybrid linebacker safety role.
Yep.
That you're gonna need a lot of 8 in the box.
Yeah.
It sometimes might be 9 in the box because all the runners we mentioned, man, that we're talking about them 8 runners. Ezekiel Elliott being one of them.
Yep.
Christian McCaffrey being the other guy. Another 1,000-yard rusher. And these guys, make no mistake about it, man. Goal line defense is going to be seriously huge this year because they also put some touchdowns in the end zone as well.
That's right, and it's going to be paramount that we do everything we can to stop the run. And when Dan Quinn, in 2016, that was one of the things in the second half of that season when that defense really started to gel, and in 2017, the run defense was real good. And so, if you can make teams one-dimensional, that's the whole goal of the defense is to make teams one-dimensional. That way what they're going to do.
Now, we also know, like Anthony Wright mentioned about John Kaminsky, I'm excited about him as far as setting the edge in the run game. That was something he was good at the lower level when it comes to the college. You watch his college film, he would get out there, man, and he stopped you in your tracks. So, make no mistake about it, man. And he's very excited, too. I don't know if many people saw the tweet, but he's ready to go, man. He's ready to get it. And we definitely have some guys, Stephen Means, who we didn't mention earlier. We got some guys who can stop this run and force these guys back into the middle to Tyler Davidson and Allen Bailey and guys like that.
No, we definitely got some guys. That much is for sure. Let's see. Anthony Wright says, they're talking about moving Sheffield to the outside and playing Denard inside at nickel. Yeah, we brought that up. That was a tweet from Vaughn McClure, I believe. Twan McGee says Sheffield should be outside. He played at Bama and transferred to OSU and started over Okudah and Arnett. So, that's something to keep in mind there. I mean, he is no slouch himself, Jaden says, is there any other free agents you would like to see the Falcons sign? That's an interesting thought, because I think to myself, what else would I like to see? Who else would I like to see? And the first name that comes to mind is probably well out of the question, but the first name that comes to mind somebody like an Everson Griffin, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and even like real pie in the sky craziness. If you want to talk about like crazy run support, Jadeveon Clowney's still out there. I don't know what
Yeah, he's
I
still
don't know
out
what
there.
he's asking for, or if he's just waiting until closer to the season starts so he don't have to worry about camp. I don't know, but if
Right.
you could get Jadeveon Clowney on another flyer and give him a little bit of money to play for you for a season, that would be super interesting to see uh, him suited up in the red and black. Now I ain't trying to break the bank for him, mind you, and I'm not
Yeah.
necessarily trying to sign him to a long term deal, but he's definitely like pie in the sky type name. Anybody out there for you? Any position out there for you?
Well, I mean, I'm on the Everson Griffin uh train. I think he would be a great guy to bring in only because that was the model you went by when you brought in Dwight
Right.
Freeney in 2016. And I can see the Falcons similarly trying to build something to that 2016 culture as far as the defensive line, and that definitely will put the icing on the cake for me. But what I would like to see, not really as far, Benny Curry name has been thrown
True.
out there, and if we can get Benny Curry, it was said, rumored that he was supposed to be bouncing between choosing New Orleans or the Falcons, but I haven't heard
Yeah,
anything
no, I hadn't
since, and
heard.
it's
I
been a
must say I
while.
hadn't heard his name come up much at all. Now another interesting, if you want to talk about defensive tackle, maybe a change of scenery would help. But former second rounder, not too long ago, P.J. Hall, he's been
Hmm.
released by the Raiders. You could probably get him for next to nothing, uh, and see if you can capitalize on some young discarded talent. So now he failed his physical because the Vikings tried to trade for him, and he's failed his physical
Right,
there. So
right.
I don't know, what that really means, but uh, he would be an interesting name. Anthony Wright brought up somebody that I have totally forgotten that we signed. Man, we've done signed so many daggone first rounders this offseason. Uh, you got outside linebacker Dayon Buchanan is going to really
Oh
help
yeah.
out.
Oh, you can't
Yeah,
look. You can't forget Dion
I
Buchanan.
did.
But see, this is what it's just so many names. But see,
Man,
this everybody you don't brought in leads up to being able to
that's
stop
right.
this
That's
run
right.
because you know what you about to get ready to face. And Taj Lapoy has some pressure on him because he's also now the run game
Coordinator. That's right.
coordinator as well. So he's going to have to really know. And without a preseason, you can't tell which packages you're going to be able to, the mix of guys you want to put out there to stop this run. You're going to have to use the first 4 games to do
It's
it
gonna be tough.
and hope that you
Yeah,
win while
that's
doing
right.
it.
That's the thing. I think you talked about earlier. You talked about the team that stayed healthy being the one that won. I think the team that gels the quickest. I
See,
think the
yeah,
team that gels the quickest is going to be the one that starts really putting a hurt on people, and could
yeah.
really start distancing themselves. Um, Jade says hi. What's up, Jade? Glad you could join us. Kojak, man, Tuckett. What's up, Kojak? He says
What's
he
up, man?
says
Thank you.
rise the f up. That's right, buddy. Rise up, man. That's what we are trying to do over here. Um, Nikki says we are loaded at the DT spot. We do got some guys at the DT. We are probably deeper at defensive tackle this year, like first time in quite a while that I feel like we are
Yeah.
as deep as we are at defensive tackle, and I'm glad to see it. I'm glad to see that they addressed it. I felt like that was something that they didn't address the past few years, and that could have led to, you know, porous run defense. So hopefully,
Yeah.
hopefully they've restocked the cabinet because Dan Quinn loves that defensive line rotation. So let's
Hmm.
hope that they have restocked the cabinet. Maybe he didn't feel like they were doing a great job with them deeper draft picks like the Deidre Sonat or whatever. But so you went out and got
Right.
some other guys. So let's hope it starts playing off or paying off. Dom Kennedy Harris says a ton of talent on this team, both sides of the ball. Bring in one more vet on the D line. I think he was echoing kind of what we were saying with
Yeah.
the Vinnie Currys, the Everson Griffins, and Anthony Wright brought up Jadeveon Clowney's asking price. He wants more than $15 million a season. Yeah, you can look. My daddy told me one time, things are only worth what you can get somebody to pay for it. Okay? So he may want $19 million a season, but is somebody willing to give him $19 million a season? That's the thing.
Well, Cleveland Brown tried to give him some money and he turned it down.
So it's going to be interesting. Now, you did see that San Francisco, I ain't seen nothing come out like as far as signed it, but they brought in Ziggy Ansah to do a physical and all that jazz. So it'll be interesting to see. He hadn't really produced much outside of Detroit. He's been injured too much. So, man, dry throat tonight. Okay.
Hey, man.
Jimmy says, man, y'all getting me fired up. Man, we trying to get fired up, brother. I mean, we getting close to the season, bro.
Hey,
It's time to get fired up. It's time to.
It's time to get fired up. Hey, and
So,
JR, you already know what I'm talking about. I ain't gonna mention it on this show, but we might have a surprise for y'all coming up as the season gets closer. I'm just gonna throw that out there. But it's
right. We always working on stuff. We always,
Yes,
we're always working. We always trying to get better. I mean, because if you ain't trying to get better, then you're getting worse. So always trying to do better, trying to get better, trying to be a better person, trying to be a better, host on Pound for Pound here with my co-host and with our other guys that we've added. That's why we added Jimmy and Mike.
Yes,
Trying to get better, trying to bring y'all some different opinions and different views. So we're glad to have them aboard, and we're glad to have all y'all here. Anthony Wright.
Speaking of different views, I know Jimmy didn't think we was gonna get off this show before I had talked about this. And Jimmy, I got love for you, man. You my Falcon brother, man. But ain't no way in HE double hockey sticks you gonna be talking about Christian Blake. My man, boy. Ain't no way, Russell Gage. Ain't no way. I just can't do it. I can't do it.
When I saw,
so I just had to let him know he wasn't gonna get away scot free.
You wasn't gonna let him off on that one.
Oh no, Doc. I was gonna find a way to slide it in there somewhere. He probably thought he ain't gonna say nothing about it tonight, but no, I ain't finna let you off the hook, Doc.
No, that's that was a bold proclamation right there. Thinking that Christian Blake was gonna come in and dethrone Russell Gage. I mean, look, stranger things have happened, all right. And Russell Gage may go up and try to catch a pass and land on his head or something, and that might open up the door.
This is true. All right.
As far as talent goes, you really saw that when Mohamed Sanu got traded, Russell Gage stepped in and filled that vacuum like pretty quick. And then you add in on top of that Hayden Hurst already making some impressions.
Goodness.
It's gonna be tough. That third wide receiver spot, I think, is all but locked in.
It's gonna be a battle. I don't know, man. It's gonna be a battle. I will say this much, just like the running back situation. I'm not necessarily gonna lock Brian Hill in as number two. I mean, Quadre don't win and lost some weight.
Ito done found the way.
Smith winning Kane State. These guys are coming in. Brian Hill working on his route running and stuff like that. These guys are ready to go for that number 2 spot behind Todd Gurley, man. So. And I'm gonna tell you what, Calvin Ridley, his press of the day, boy, he is itching to get out there and show what he's been doing.
I think he has heard way too much. I think he has heard way too much that the only reason why he's as good as he is because of Julio Jones. I think that he is ready to prove himself as an elite. I think he even said that he was ready to be elite. He used that word.
Yep.
And so he's going to have to do something to go off. Now, you got Julio Jones on the other side of you. You got to really make an impression. You got to make the defense respect you. Okay? And I hope he does, because, buddy, if he makes the defense respect him and they have to quake, like if they're quaking in their boots when Julio Jones is on the field and Calvin Ridley's on the field, dude, that's going to open up major things for Hayden Hurst and Russell Gage and Olamide Zaccheaus and Christian Blake. You know what I'm saying? That's going
Yeah, all of them.
That's
Yeah.
really gonna open up that somebody should be running wide open every play. Is all I'm trying to say.
And that's what I was
Yep.
saying, JR. That's what
Yep.
I tweeted out. Dirk Cutter better be on it and call the right
Yeah, he
stuff,
better
Doc.
be.
Call the
Yeah,
right stuff.
Nikki just said it. Offense is going to hinge on Dirk Cutter's play calling. You right about that, Nikki?
Yep.
It is definitely going to
Yep.
hinge on can Dirk Cutter maximize this talent. That's what the end of the day. That's what it's going to come down to. Can Dirk Cutter maximize this? Anthony Wright says, J.R. and Toby, I believe that DN Chris Harris is going to really push Tack McKinley for a starting DN spot. Remember, they were both in the same 2017 draft class. Do you think he will push Tack? Yes, I think he will push Tack. I definitely think.
Yeah.
I think that's the reason why they brought him in. You think Tack McKinley don't?
Mhm.
He's already posting stuff on his Instagram. With his arms all crossed, saying they don't believe in me or whatever. Talking about people not believing. Well, you better do something to make people believe in you. I mean, I hate to say it like that. I ain't trying to be, a Debbie Downer, so to speak. But at this junction, Tack, you have shown to be a solid defensive end, not a first round extraordinary defensive end like you should have been, right? So now you have competition. You have competition in, Charles Harris. You have competition in John Kaminsky, because they said they're going to play him outside as well. So if he can, if Kaminsky can be versatile as far as going from outside to inside, that may cut into Tack's playing time as well.
Hey, I'm going to ask you this. Because it looks like it's been a common theme tonight. And I don't think I'll ever remember this since being a Falcons fan. Name one time do you remember not remembering some of the people's names because you got so much talent on the team.
It is yeah, man, that is shocking. I don't know if it's Rich McKay's influence or if they took the gloves off from Thomas Dimitrov. I'm not 100% sure who is really steering the wheel, but yeah, they restocked the cupboard big time. Now, like I said, I don't know if it's a product of missing in some of these drafts. Like you're missing on Duke Riley, you're missing Eric Saubert, you're missing so far been a no-show of Deidre Sanat. You're missing who are some of the other names that have, well, obviously Vic Beasley being the biggest one. You're missing these guys that you didn't re-sign, or that you traded away, that didn't turn out to be the type of player that you thought they were going to be. Now, I think they have done a very creative way of restocking the cupboard. It has a very Patriot-esque feel. You're taking me and you, we get hung up a lot on the fact that it's a bunch of former first rounders, but you're picking up talent that other teams have discarded for a cheap price.
Yeah.
That is very much a Patriot thing to do. And a lot of times these former first round talents, these former high picks, it's a reality call and it's a wake up call when you get traded from your team or your team doesn't re-sign you. Sometimes that's a proverbial slap in the face. Like, oh crap, I need to get my stuff together. And for some of these guys like a Dayon Buchanan who is now on his third team, after being a first round pick. So it'll be interesting to see if these guys come in hungry, right? Like the Charles Harrises and Dayon Buchanan. And look, they're bringing up the chat rooms, bringing up other names. Like, did you remember that we brought back LaRon Reynolds back? Because I didn't. Leroy Reynolds. I forgot that we brought. I forgot that we brought him back.
I remember.
Now, granted.
Yeah, I remember just about everybody on there. Anthony Wright and all the the great knowledgeable people in the chat are bringing up. But it's just so many, you can't bring them all up in one show. But I will tell you a guy that they cut that I was shocked. They cut Ryan Allen, the punter, again for the second straight time.
Granted, you drafted the kid out of Syracuse who I can't even remember his
Yeah,
name.
Sterling
Yeah,
Harpishton.
Sterling. I can't pronounce last
Yeah,
name. Um, like I guess you drafted him, right? So
yeah,
you figure you got draft capital in him, and I guess with the situation the way it is, I guess you always figure that you could pick up the phone and call Ryan Allen back and bring him back in if he don't work out. I
yeah,
guess I don't know, but yeah, that was kind of surprising that they cut him, and that depth that we speak of uh, already cost a fan favorite his job. Austin Larkin got released, and
yep, yep.
so
He
you
gone.
know a guy that we were rooting for from last preseason, he doesn't get a chance to shine again and has to make way for the Charles Harrises and Dante Fowlers and stuff like that. So Envy says interested to see if they bring in a veteran linebacker like a Clay Matthews or someone of that caliber. I don't know if they'll go linebacker now with bringing in Dayon Buchanan. You got Buchanan, you got Keon O'Neal that you're going to play as a safety linebacker hybrid. Um, Deion Jones, Foye Lucan, and Lucanu, and Michael Walker that you drafted. So I
Hmm.
mean, if they feel like they need one, then obviously yeah, go get one. But I don't see that being a position they go after in free agency myself. So let's see. Tawan McGee says we are deep on defense this year with a lot of talent. Yes, we are. Okay, he said he was referring to an outside linebacker. He thinks Dayon Buchanan will play middle. I don't know. I don't know if Dayon Buchanan will play middle. I think he's played more outside linebacker. But it'll be interesting to see how they deploy those guys. And look, I'm gonna go ahead and call it. If they can get a outside linebacker or somebody, no name is coming to mind, right? As
Right.
far as who out there is on free agency at this junction. Oh man, well brother, we are running up on an hour. We're about 10 minutes shy of an hour. If you got anything else you want to wrap this up with?
No, but I will say this. I want to ask you this, and then we get ready to close it out, man. How much more blitzing do you think the Falcons are going to do this year with the pieces that they have?
Um, I hope a lot, to tell you the truth,
Yeah,
because there
yeah,
is analytics and research out there that obviously suggests that blitzing more actually doesn't hurt you. You know, it gives
yeah,
you a far greater chance at affecting the quarterback and giving the quarterback less time to throw. And if Raheem Morris is doing his homework, you have a lot of guys who can play at a lot of different positions in a sense. So you can
yep,
really
yep,
disguise, packages, you can disguise looks, and you can send guys from, a ton of different angles. And I really
yeah,
hope
yep,
that they employ that. You had that
yeah,
quote from John Kaminsky's interview over the summer talking about A gap blitzes, you know, and
yep,
so I really, really hope that they blitz quite a bit. Like when I went back and watched some of that old Tampa footage from when Raheem Morris was down there in Tampa, they they blitzed a lot from the linebackers, and so
yeah,
and also keep in mind Raheem Morris was in Tampa the same time Warren Sapp was, okay, for a
yeah,
handful of years that Warren Sapp was there. Guess who has a pretty similar build and ability to Warren Sapp? Or Grady Jarrett.
yeah.
That's
Jared,
a
yeah,
bold comparison, I know. And I'm not saying Grady Jarrett is Warren Sapp, but he can be utilized in a lot of the same ways. And so,
yeah,
and you imagine, having that force wrecking in the middle with like a blitzing uh, Dayon Buchanan or a blitzing
yeah.
Michael Walker, who,
Deion
right,
Jones, yeah, Michael
Michael
Walker,
Walker, who spent a
yeah,
good bit of his time in college as a defensive end and getting after the quarterback. You know what I'm saying? So
yep,
I really
yeah,
hope that they utilize these guys because when Raheem Morris took over, you saw Devondre Campbell being sent at the quarterback a lot more.
yep, Yep, a lot
So
more. Yeah,
that's what I am, that's what I'm looking at, and that's what I'm kind of counting on, the fact that um, that Raheem Morris is going to be creative, and that's what you got to
yeah,
have in this league. Everybody is an elite athlete. Now, obviously, some are more elite than others, but you don't make it to the NFL without being an elite athlete. So,
yeah,
just relying on your athleticism isn't always going to be enough. Just relying on you to line up and beat your man every play isn't
yeah,
always going to be enough. So, you got to have that scheme going, and that's what
yeah.
I'm interested in seeing if Raheem Morris can bring it out of him. What do you think on that aspect?
I mean, everything you just said, I agree with all of it. I mean, you said everything that I would have said out of my mouth. I mean, when you look at the pieces and the way that they're setting up, we have capable blitzers as well as run
Yeah,
defenders. I mean, the way that they've set it up this year, man, we're gonna have packages, man, and we're gonna be able to really trot out there and really hurt a quarterback if it's done right between Albrecht and Raheem Morris. And I think they want to get Joe Witt Jr. involved in some of the play calling too, because they tried that with Jerome
right.
Henderson when they played against the Arizona
Yeah,
Cardinals. Of course, it didn't work
no,
out well, and that's why they went down to Jeff Albrecht, Dan Quinn, and Raheem Morris. But it's going to be interesting to see. Looking at it on paper, you see what they're trying to do. Now let's see if they actually are able
that's
to
the
do
thing.
it, especially with no
Right.
rookies. Yeah,
I think we stand a better chance than most teams because we kept our coaching staff together quite a bit. You
yeah.
augmented it with Josh. How'd you say his last name? I'm bad at it.
Tosh
Yeah,
Boyd,
LaPoy.
Tosh,
Yeah, him
yeah,
and Joe Witt Jr. So I'm interested to see how these guys can come in and add to what we have. Let's uh
yeah.
let's catch up on the last little bit of these chat real quick.
Oh,
Let's see. We're gonna go back up to. Oh yeah, somebody talked about Twan McGee said we weren't mentioning Jalen Hawkins. Yeah, see, that's another draft guy
yeah,
who could come in and really make some names. Brandon Levy says shout out to Raheem and Ulbrich. Yeah, they're going to be what makes this defense really go. 420 games, 420 War Games says best tag team in Falcons news. Thank you, 420 War Games.
thank you, man.
Appreciate that.
Say
Very
that.
nice words. Genuine Music says we tried that with AJ Hawk. It didn't work out. Our linebacker group is set. I think he was referring to the
Yeah,
Clay Matthews. And then Twan McGee. Hey man, if we want to add another first rounder, he brought up Darren Lee. You remember him from a few years ago? We
yeah,
we could
yeah,
probably get him for
yeah,
a Happy Meal bag or a bag of cheeseburgers.
yeah.
He's been sitting out there for a while. Brandon Levy says facts. Love Toby and J.R. Man, we appreciate that, Brandon. We thank you.
Thanks, man.
He says Envy says I would rate it a 7 to 10 at the moment, but if Morris and the rest of the coaches can get the defense dialed in, don't be surprised if they're 8.5, 9.5, 10 range. That could be. Big Nasty
Yeah,
says, do you think Denard can compete for the number 2 cornerback spot? I think they brought Denard in here to be the nickelback. I think they
yeah,
realized that they weren't
yeah,
going to get that with um, DeMonte Casey, so they brought in Denard to solidify that nickelback spot for sure. Uh,
Well, here's the other thing people got to understand too,
so,
man. We're going to face a lot of speedy wide receivers, so you need some speedy corners like a Kendall Sheffield to
oh
deal
yeah,
with Tyler Lockett,
that's right.
who we're going to have to deal with week 1.
That's it. Nick says, got to get creative with blitz schemes. Yes, you are correct. We have to get creative. Jimmy is reminding everybody in the chat to give us the like button. Thanks for love. This is good. Appreciate it, Jimmy. Thank you for
Yes, sir.
being here with us. And fellas, don't forget about veteran cornerback Bleedy Ray Wilson in the depth chart. No, you
Yes,
can't.
sir.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I
yeah.
talked
About to say,
about bleeding.
yeah,
I
yeah.
talked about bleeding.
Toby did.
Trust me.
Yeah, he
Yes,
definitely
sir.
forgot about that. And nobody can forget about Bleedy. When he is pressed into service, he performs admirably.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
Share the Light asked, do you think we will have a top 10 defense? I hope. Right now, I'm shooting for the middle of the pack. If we can get from like a 15 to a 12, I'll be ecstatic. I'll be absolutely ecstatic. I would love to have a top 10 defense. Jimmy said,
Where I'm most interested in seeing us being top 5 will be turnovers.
yes, that's what I want.
That's
Yeah,
where I'm.
I think if we are above top 10 in turnovers, I think we'll have a very good
Yeah,
defense. I'll take an
yeah,
opportunistic defense all day long.
yes,
Anthony
sir.
Wright says strong safety Jalen Hawkins will play special teams, and Keanu Neal is taking him under his wing. Yeah, I think they brought him in because right now, I mean, as much as we all love Keanu, you don't know what you're getting with Keanu. He's been
Right.
hurt quite a bit. You can't predict those kind of things, and you don't know how somebody's
Yeah,
going to come back from those type of injuries. So yes, I know Hawkins is on that COVID-19 protocol. Hopefully he'll get back quick and can get with the team. But
yes, sir.
we have definitely done it, Toby. We have ellipsed 1 hour.
Yes, sir.
I didn't know if we were going to be able to
Let's
do it.
do.
I didn't know. I didn't think about it. But man, y'all did it. Y'all hung with us. We appreciate y'all. And we'll be back next Tuesday to do this again. And we
Yes,
very
sir.
much appreciate y'all hanging with us. And I'm going to figure out. See, the problem is, Toby, they didn't change the live stream thing here on YouTube. I don't know where all my buttons are anymore. But anyway, as I sit here and try to figure out how to stop this stream, let's see, it will be exit. Thank you guys. We appreciate it. And y'all have a good night. Let's see what we're going to do. Boom. I cannot figure out how to stop this damn stream. Yeah, they done messed me up big time. Alright, I guess I'm just going to have to do this. Oh, good lord. Yeah, we're going to have to go back and there used to be just a big button that said stop stream.